All right, guys, we're back with another edition of Talking Preps. Look who I brought back. We got our old football crew back. I got Chris Hughes to my right, Dale Ross below right, and the coach right below me, Sam Griner. You're still a celebrity, Sam. I still get people asking, where's Sam Griner, and can you get him back on? I literally got an email yesterday.
Did you really? Well, that's
Absolutely.
a blessing to hear.
Absolutely. Now, can you tell people what you've been doing lately, Coach?
I can break down just a little bit. TV show has given my wife and I a great opportunity based on our story, and we're competing on a CBS TV show. It won't be aired until probably the Christmas time, or maybe at the beginning of the new year. But we're still in the competition. It's a great blessing to spend with my family. And it's pretty special. It's going to be really good to watch. We argue like crazy in it.
Yeah, well, I know you've been doing some crazy stuff. Dale, what you been up to lately?
Just work, trying to make a living.
I hear that. It's tough these days, especially.
Yeah, especially I guess now here as much of the country's going into shutdown. It impacts me.
It's tough. Well, that's one of the first things I want to ask you guys about, with coronavirus spreading around, and Chris, you can start. What do you guys think is going to be the effects of high school football? Obviously, we're not going to have any spring practice. We may not have any June practice. Just Chris, you kind of start us. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, not only the spring practice, the June practice, but and I think Coach can speak to this. The skill development, and I don't mean on the field. The passing, the pass skilly, the 7-on-7, all of that. But, just an opportunity for your coach to sit down on a whiteboard with maybe a young quarterback who hadn't been on the field to talk football with them, or the opportunity for, more than just a skill development. These sessions give a chance for your team, maybe the guys that didn't play together last year, to bond and kind of bring some cohesiveness to each other. And when we start in August, it literally could be a blank slate. And by that, it could be like day one with no installs, with anything. And it's certainly going to put the coaches and the teams a little bit behind the eight ball compared to where they used to be. Mm-hmm. But, hey, on the bright side, everybody should be on about the same level.
Dale, will that degrade the quality of football, you think, if we come to that, where everybody's just kind of starting in August 1?
That's hard to say, because I personally believe some of the top teams that have had good systems and et cetera in the past or up to this point, I think that those players, at least the rising upper class, I don't believe it's going to impact them as much as it will the younger players. So I think that's going to be a disparity thing there, in that some programs will be hit harder than others simply because some of those players have developed certain work ethics that they're going to work on their own athletic skill developments on their own, and the younger kids are going to suffer. And newer players into the program, you may have that kind of no opportunity for them to have bonded with each other.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to impact at different there's going to be different impact at different schools. Some schools are going to suffer greatly, especially those that lost coaches. They will suffer tremendously, I think.
Sam, I see a lot of schools sending out workouts for kids to do body weight, whatever they have while they're at home. Is this a chance for a guy who wasn't necessarily deep on the depth chart to really work on his body, get a little stronger? Maybe some of the guys don't work as hard and I can make a jump. Is this a chance for, a Rudy type of story to emerge in North Carolina athletics?
Without a doubt, that's definitely a great opportunity. The problem is, like, what gyms are open? What gym can they go to? They got to be creative enough to figure out what they're going to do to work out. So anybody can provide them with a workout, but do they have the equipment at their house, or do they have a friend that has it that they can get in small groups and work out? Most of the spring, all we do is we try to get bigger, faster, stronger, the old terminology, even though sometimes people relate that to getting slower, which, everybody running track. I think people not running track is the biggest thing you'll see in skill development, because we were getting very fast as a state, I believe. You had Cameron Rose, who was the #1 runner in the country and stuff like that, and he'll raise everybody else's game. But the thing that's going to hurt the most is the coaches that are new to their program. See, everybody's got a system now. If they've been there for a while, the kids know what to do. They can almost self-run themselves and do 7-on-7, do things like that, or just go out there and throw the ball around with guys because they know the terminology. The guys coming into the fold now, they're going to struggle a little bit because they don't have the install period of what they're trying to bring to the table.
Circling back though, Coach, to my original question, can I work at home with body weight and maintain or develop a little bit? I know it's not the same as pumping iron, but can I maintain with body weight doing some of these exercises that I'm getting if I choose to do them?
Yeah, you definitely can do stuff. Like today I did a P90X thing with Jupiter Wilson this morning, and I got a great sweat. It's just committing yourself to something you're not used to doing. How many people are willing to do that and sacrifice? That's the key. And,
well, that's why I think somebody can make a jump over this period of time and maybe jump past a couple of peers on the depth chart.
That's a great way to put it, because if something lives inside them and they want to be great, they'll figure out a way.
You know, some of them will jump into their PlayStations and their Xboxes.
Yes. have great finger workouts.
Well, yeah, that and this kind of finger workout, and they're going to get. There will be, and I believe we'll probably see it in some of the stars that they'll get a little lazy because there's nobody pushing them other than themselves.
How will this affect recruiting, guys? I mean, because the college coaches aren't going to be on campus this spring. Nobody's taking any visits. How's this going to affect recruiting?
Recruiting is huge right now in the spring. That's where all the big colleges get out there and do all their homework, do all their relationship building. So the key factor is people that are winning now, like North Carolina's got like 11 of the top players in North Carolina or something crazy. They're dominating the game. They'll still continue to dominate the game because they've already built that relationship. But the people that are trying to come in, you won't see a lot of late changes unless something crazy happens during the season where they just don't win, the first 4 or 5 games. But this actually helps the people that are already put the groundwork in.
I agree with what Sam says. And also the big difference today versus 15, 20 years ago is so much of the recruiting is done with the social media platforms and the direct communication to the players. And it, like what Sam said, I mean, if you're winning big, I think you're only going to continue to win big. And North Carolina, who he mentioned, seems to be on a roll. But I do like the idea that Sam mentioned, if this prevents, a Kirby Smart or somebody coming in and stealing a player late, I'm all for it. Just in the fact that, we want to see our players stay in the state, whether it's State or Carolina or Wake or whoever.
Now, you guys mentioned, Carolina. Just this morning, DeAndre Boykins from Central Cabarrus committed. They already have a top 5 recruiting class, so it looks like it's shaping up to be. And Mac Brown is kind of creating that same fence around North Carolina that he did in the 90s. My question, you guys, is North Carolina really on the rise? They could challenge the Clemson, and have they clearly surpassed the other in-state schools, in your guys' opinion?
It'll take a few years for them to get to the Clemson level, because Clemson's been doing it for so long. They've been in the top 5 like probably the last 10 years. I feel like maybe it's only like 7. And that's what's made their program to what it is now. If you see Carolina have another winning season, go to a big bowl game and compete maybe for an ACC championship, like get to the game, then all it's going to do is increase the next 2 or 3 years for them. And then they will be their national championship level, I think, in the next 2 to 3 years.
How big a deal is it they got the greatest quarterback in the history of man, according to you? They got Drake May. So how big a deal is that? Because quarterbacks tend to be magnets.
That is the big factor. I'm telling you, still to this day, he's the best I've ever seen in high school, the best. And wait till he gets to college and, Sam, that's already there now, is dominating the game. Watch him be able to maybe even break his records. It'll be kind of crazy to see how that works out.
Yeah, I think that's huge, actually, for them. It was a little bit of a shocker for me to see him step away from Alabama, but that's big for them. They're going to have a role of quarterback for the next 5 years or so, it looks like. So one guy's going to step out and another guy's going to step in. So
particularly if Drake were to redshirt next year,
Yeah.
And then, you know, Sam finishes junior, assuming Sam goes to college, goes to the NFL, then Drake kind of steps in. Now you have your next quarterback. But Chris, your thoughts on Carolina and Mac building the fence around the state? Do you think they're on path to become a true legitimate challenger to Clemson? And are they clearly ahead now of their other in-state rivals?
Well, I think all you got to do is look at last year's game at NC State. You know, it was a first half close game, and then Carolina broke it open in the second half. I think Carolina will kind of continue to do that over this next year. I don't think this is going to be a lights out year for the Tar Heels necessarily, but I do think that they'll be a fringe top 25 team and will win some big games and get better. But I think that they're 2 years away, kind of like Sam said, from really being a bona fide top 15, maybe a New Year's Day Bowl team, maybe 2 years away. And they could surpass my expectations, but I think it's still a process, and, you know, they've still got some pieces to fill.
Have they clearly passed by the other in-state teams?
Yeah.
I think so.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't answer that question, Langston. I think Carolina's been a top recruiter, period, in the state for years. They always seem to get the top recruits. It's just that it hasn't played out on the field on Saturdays. Last season was the first season that it started playing out on the field. So what that might do is actually start bringing in more out-of-state players if they can level up and but to get to the level of Clemson, I think that's still that's a huge step. Even though it looks like it's kind of close, that's a big step to be that consistent.
But to keep kids like Drake May and Power Echols in state
is awesome. I like that, and I wish all the schools here could do that, even the lower tier players. I'm not a fan at all of kids stepping out, and
they were this close to getting Trent Simpson too.
Yeah, exactly.
So that upset them a little bit.
I'm not a Carolina fan, but getting Drake May, I'd rather see Drake play at Carolina than Alabama, quite honestly.
Okay, all right. Let's switch gears real quick. I want you guys to talk about coaches are leaving CMS. It seems like in droves now, for better pay or for other reasons. We have Mike Palmieri, who's been kind of the dean of coaches in Charlotte. He left to go to Georgia. Then we had a coach at West Mecklenburg, Nick Mata, gave up his head coaching job to go to Indian Land to be an assistant because he's going to make more money. Where are we with this? And is CMS at a crisis point?
I don't think they're at a crisis point. I just think that the football in general is just a different sport than everything else. It's kind of sad to say, but it's what have you done for me lately? The time that you put in at football, you have the whole fall, the summer, you got spring. You never have any time off. And a lot of these guys are making $5,000, $6,000 as a head coach anywhere you go, even though CMS pays a little bit more in the stipend or the supplement, the county supplement. But the problem is the stress factor. So they're putting all this time away from their family. It's something I deal with. Like, I don't necessarily want to take a job that it is not beneficial for my family, and I'm going to be gone an extra 30 hours a week, every week. And so I think that, like, people are seeing, like, if I go to South Carolina, well, if I become a head coach in South Carolina, then I can make 80, 90, even over $100,000. Then the time that I'm putting in makes sense. Same thing in Georgia with Palmieri. They take those big jumps, and it's beneficial for the family. They uproot their families from where they've been living for 15 years. And it just shows you how far behind we are in the process of playing coaches, even assistant coaches. It's a joke to be an assistant coach. It really is.
Yeah. First, you have to look back. We've lost lots of coaches over the years. I don't think this is anything new. We lost Knotts, and then we lost Newsom not too long after, right?
Yep.
2 state championship coaches right here. Right. So, but we still, Palmieri stepped up, and I shouldn't say stepped up. Finally, they were able to get there because he did well from the time he got there. So I when I talk to some of the other coaches that maybe are still here or have left in the past, this is not anything new, and the biggest issue really is what Sam just hit on. These guys, especially in CMS, there's a huge stress factor with not as much support. When you go to South Carolina, you've got more, so you're able to do more things and you get paid more, but you also have more support.
Mm-hmm.
You have more support in assistants, you have more support with athletic director, you have more support with principal, and all that plays out in not having to do as much non-football work. They still put in a lot of hours, but having to do so many different tasks that a coach has to handle here in Charlotte, in North Carolina, but in Charlotte. And these tasks not just being football tasks, all the other school scoring and all that other stuff that a teacher has to do. And then to be paid such a small amount of money that they could go work at Applebee's and serve tables and work less hours, be with their family more, and make more money. It just I think it's a pay, compensation, appreciation, support. It's that whole package that's not attractive here.
Chris, you talk to coaches statewide. I'm curious, what do coaches from other areas think about CMS? I'm sure they probably admire the talent here, but do they also hate the headache?
Well, not just a headache. Of course, they like the talent. I mean, there's no question. It's not up for debate. Charlotte has predominantly the best talent in the region. It's definitely in North Carolina, probably the South Carolina hub as well. But it is the support that scares coaches away. You know, Sam made a great point. The local supplement from the county makes teaching pay in Charlotte phenomenal. I know some assistant coaches who are hesitant to even take some open head coaching jobs because they would lose pay on the stipend, the county supplement. So, you know, the pay is one thing, but I think the support is the big thing that scares a lot of guys off. You mentioned other states and why some of these coaches may have left. I was talking to Jim Bob Bryant, who just took over at North Augusta in South Carolina. Of course, he went through Georgia to get to Augusta, but he said not only did he get a pay raise, but all of his assistants get paid very well, some of them comparable to what head coaches in North Carolina get paid. And it's also just the autonomy to run your program the way you want to without maybe some middle management kind of handcuffing you and tell you what you can or can't do. And I just think it's the whole structure that I just think football means more in some of these other communities. And I'm not saying it don't mean anything to Charlotte, because it does. But, you know, Charlotte, Raleigh, you know, Greensboro, these are such big school systems they're melting pots of so many different societies. You know, these school systems have soccer and education and band and arts and so many other things to worry about that I just don't know if football is as high on their agenda.
The one thing that Charlotte is unattractive for is there's about 4 to 5 teams that are juggernauts. All the kids end up somehow going there. You know, you got the Huff, Vance, Mallet Creek, you got Myers Park. All these schools dominate every conference in CMS, right? And the problem is a lot of the job security, like if a coach goes to a North Mech, you're in between all those juggernauts. Even though you have a little bit of talent, you could go 3 wins, 4 wins, and actually done a great job coaching, but then now your job security's out the door. You see what I'm saying? So it's very difficult. You can go to another county a lot of times and be the worse of a team than like a North Mech and win 8 games. And then all of a sudden your job, your family's okay. That's the stress problem for people taking jobs. Nobody wants to do the Harding situation or, you know, like before. It's just got to be, you know, it's very rare now. Really,
I have a follow-up.
Not a lot of places, Sam.
Hold on there.
I'm
I
sorry.
have a follow-up question, Coach. You're a vegetarian. What you put on that big grill behind you?
Vegan burgers, baby. So yeah, I'm like, I've became a vegan the last month or so. I'm not to the point where I look at every canned good to make sure it's not been processed a certain way. But yeah, I don't do dairy or meat anymore. And I'll tell you what, it's been a life change.
Jackfruit the other day.
Jackfruit barbecue. Yeah, check out my social media. I've been cooking it up. I love it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to pick at him. What was your
Sorry,
point?
That's okay. There were just a couple of things that in CMS, I think from what I've seen in interaction, and Chris mentioned about that middle management, and sometimes that middle management has unreal expectations of a coach as far as 3 wins, 3 wins, 3 wins. Let's get him out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And having to deal with kids wanting to move to other schools. So losing talent in that manner makes it very hard for them to develop a program that might be able to retain kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a huge thing. Langston, if you take a look in Charlotte below football, and I don't want to say football's I hate to say football is the sport, but obviously it's got the most kids and the most everything else, and it's the money generator for schools.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at some of the other sports, there's coaches, good coaches, that are leaving or being forced out of some of those positions. And sometimes it's done to open up a position to to be able to get another football coach in and give them some money.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the problems, maybe it's in society, but especially in CMS, the value of what a coach is beyond the field is being lost. And I'm talking about the development of humans. That is starting to get lost, and it's the metric is totally wins and losses or state championships.
Well, Dale, we have talked many, many times, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but you have always advocated the CMS break up into smaller quadrants. I mean, can you speak about that idea and how that might work?
So one of the problems, of course, or at least I believe with CMS, is that it's just sheer size, and the management of the schools is controlled by CMS, but they're not doing, in my opinion, a very good job of the individual school management. And management of a school should be totally by the school. And when it's in an athletic, we're talking about athletics, that's such a huge part of a school. Some principals understand the value of the spirit that can come from athletics, and they understand the value that attendance will increase, potentially test scores. If you can get kids in school, that's just a start. A lot of times kids don't want to even come to school. So we got some administrators that truly believe that. And with CMS being able to flatten all that out and not allow that to prosper, I think that's harmful to the schools. So if we could bust up into, I think it really is such a large district, it should be busted up into 4 districts, and there not be a CMS controlling 4 districts. They'd be 4 new districts. Thus, we could have better localization of control of the school and letting the schools more direct themselves where they want to go, and not have to it may be counterintuitive, especially with the way our populations and all are. I'm just not a believer in how big we are, and how what happens in big corporations happens in schools, and people get lost. And in our unfortunately, in this situation, is students get lost.
Would it be possible to do that just in athletics if you left the academic part alone, but just put the athletic part up that way?
No, but then, well, a step is to let each school have their own athletic director, a full-time athletic director.
Mm-hmm.
That's one step. Another step is to stop this. Once you get into administration, we don't want you coaching, because we have some good administrators. We have guys that elevate up out of coaching towards administration for multiple reasons, but one of them being pay. And some of those coaches would still coach or contribute in some manner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we could turn things into eliminate that need or that thing. ADs in South Carolina, they coach, and at least in the places where they're making all the money. Here, ADs don't coach, and that may cause us to not get good ADs.
We're losing 2 this year. 2
right.
ADs.
So we could lose ADs, but we also may not be getting the best ADs through this formula.
I like the system in South Carolina. Look at the
Yeah.
success that you've seen in Spartanburg's district with their District 2, District 3, District 4. They've got different districts in Lexington County, in York County. And if you and I, fortunately, I get to spend a week in Spartanburg every year at the Shrine Bowl, and I'm inside and out of those schools. I get to meet with those administrators. The superintendents are always there. There's multiple superintendents in each county over each district, and it's amazing how well those schools run. They just look like they're organized from the outside, at least being on the inside. I think that having the multiple superintendents, because, you know, CMS is so big and it's so much for one person to manage. I think being broken down into bite-sized divisions would make it so much easier.
Well, Dell's advocated that for years. I don't disagree with him. I was really just curious what it worked for athletics, but it sounds like you guys are thinking it needs to work just for the whole system at large. I know there's been people in the northern part of the county and in the southeastern part of the county that are looking at trying to do just, you know, secede for the union, so to speak, and do just that type of thing. But guys, go ahead.
If you want to make it good for the kid, and that's where we should be focusing, you want to make it good for the kid, it's got to be a linear thing, and it's not. It's this kind of thing right now. So even breaking it up into bite size, it needs to be nibble size, and that's down to the school, and every school should direct themselves and then be in a small group. That's why South Carolina is so successful. If you threw all these big districts together into one big thing and then had one leader, and you took away those leaders at the schools, they would unfortunately devolve into what we have in CMS.
Last question before we wrap up. When I was growing up, your football coach stayed there forever, and he was kind of like the anchor of the school. I mean, you know, I graduated, I got married, I went back to school, and coach was still there. I mean, why do we not see that now? Why are coaches leaving, and is that a bad thing?
It's because of the changes, and not just the coaches, but who hires the coaches, the athletic directors, the principals. And what happens is, when's the last time you saw a principal in CMS or some of these surrounding counties, mostly CMS, that have been there more than 5 years? They always move or do something. So you always, like, coaches all have egos to, you know, a fault. And what happens is maybe someone comes in there that doesn't see eye to eye with them, and it makes their life even more stressful. That's the problem you run into. The old county ways of, like, you know, how Mooresville would have had guys staying there for 25 years. Everything changes so much. It's just tough. The turnover is so much that it affects coaching as well.
When we came up, Langston, and I came up before you, it wasn't just the coaches that stuck around forever. It was the principals that stuck around forever, and the teachers were there forever. And you know, there's a nice consistency. And when I like to talk programs a lot, and part of the program is the program starts at the principal. And because everybody's got to be in sync with each other. And the only way a coach in the past wouldn't stick around is if he ethically wasn't good. I think one of the values that is lost is that metric of what are you doing with your kids? A coach can go 3-7 and still be a fantastic coach and a fantastic person for that school to have, because he's developing humans.
Without a doubt.
And that's the problem that we're losing, is we're metricing towards wins. And then, as Sam said, principals leave, a new principal comes in. He wants to do things his way, or this new athletic director wants to do things his way. And you don't see that eye to eye. I agree 100% with you, Sam.
All right, Chris, you get the final word. What you got?
I've got to agree with these two. It's all the principal. The late Scott Young told me decades ago, back when he and I used to coach in Rowan County, that a great principal can make a terrible school awesome and become a winner almost overnight, which in almost his case at West Rowan, it did. Similarly, South Rowan, where I was from, they had the long-term principals in there for about 2 or 3 decades, where we only had 1 or 2 guys. and a great program. And then about 10 or so years ago, one terrible principal kind of sent the school downward. And, you know, it just goes to show you that administration really controls everything when it comes to coaches. You know, I know a lot of coaches who would love to stay where they're at, but they've just got no support. They can't set their own schedules. They can't get their players in weightlifting. There's just so many struggles that they have, whether with the principals, the guidance departments, or whoever, that they like their job. They like where they live. They don't want to leave, but they just feel like they'll never move up professionally if they stay in that situation. And I just think that's a rut that coaches feel like they get in.
All right. Well, guys, look, thanks for jumping on. We're going to try to have you guys on a little more regularly as we kind of all sitting at home with coronavirus. I'm literally getting questions from readers asking, can you get the football guys back? So I'm glad you guys were able to take some time. We'll do it again real soon. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. We love Appreciate you guys out there.
That's right. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Be good.
All right.
Bye-bye.